street for miles and miles. Just got a big tattoo of a bird. Her black tears are always bright. I know the girl who wanted to be nothing special, just one of those she. Now I know how John of Arc felt, how workmen started to melt. Come to me, this is not the end of the world. Come to me, can't you see the sails unfurled? Come to me, now you stand beyond the fear. So come to me, my dear. Oh, come to me, this is now the end of the world. And come to me, can't you see the sails unfurled? Come to me, now you stand beyond the fear. Yeah. So come to me, my dear.
Good night. So, hang on, the notification. All right, so, those of you following the Twitter will know that when I woke up this morning is inaccurate. This afternoon, I saw that after I had went out into the cave, I saw that they had killed all the little fellas. The entire species is now extinct. I went to see that woman in the city, and we talked it out, and I will continue as normal next week. But I don't know how to cope with this. So I'm going to pretend I'm alright until I am alright. With that out of the way, let's begin tonight's reading. Where's the proper scene? There we go. Turn off the set list. As time goes on, we will slowly phase the little fellas out of all currently existing branding. Let's get some background not music noise on. Here we go. Let's lower that. Perfect. The avatar is too happy. Let's yeah, that works better. What a day. So, the first we will be reading tonight is, let me adjust my pop filter, SCP-019, The Monster Pot. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-019 is to be kept on a wide grate in a 3 meters by 3 meters by 4 meters reinforced concrete room installed with an incinerator. A room is to be kept at 0 degrees Celsius when incinerator is not activated. An observation chamber separated by a plate glass window is to be used for constant observation of SCP-019, and if/when specimens of SCP-019-2 are observed, the incinerator is to be activated. In the event of an outbreak of SCP-019-2, ordinary firearms are successful in terminating individual specimens, although in the case of a swarm-level outbreak, flamethrowers may be more effective. SCP-019 should be kept in a vertical position at all times. Object Description. SCP-019 appears to be a very large ceramic vase, 1.8 meters in diameter at the mouth and 2.4 meters in height. Style and decoration indicate it was created in classical Greece, although conclusive dating is impossible, as the surface is entirely unbreakable by any known means. If a successful method is discovered, SCP-019 is to be destroyed with prejudice. Hang on, let me get that on screen actually. Huh. I cannot put it in random bullshit images unless I save it. Oh well. Let's continue anyways. Periodically, entities emerge from SCP-019. Collectively, these are known as SCP-019-2. The entities vary in many aspects, but tend to be small, vaguely humanoid, although some may have animaloid features, and extremely hostile. They often choose to attack with teeth or claws. Although fairly delicate and surprisingly flammable, they are reasonably strong and pose a considerable threat in large numbers. When kept at 0 degrees Celsius and totally at rest, entities will emerge from SCP-019 at a rate of approximately 1 entity per hour. The following traits are known to affect SCP-019-2's manifestation rate. First, movement of the object. Second, a threat to the object. Third, extreme temperature highs and lows. Fourth, sudden shift in surrounding environment. And fifth, introduction of objects or organisms to the inside of the object, known to cause a flood reaction. Traits that may or may not influence SCP-019-2's appearance rate. Presence of life near the object, current weather patterns, and specific individuals near the object. Some individuals seem to affect SCP-019-2's emergence rate more drastically than others. In addition, tipping or tilting SCP-019 will create a reaction as though it was previously filled with the specimens, although viewers looking into the object from above will merely observe a dark hole. Due to production rates of SCP-019-2 when the object is disturbed, measurement of the internal cavity is difficult, but it is suspected to be consistent with outside measurements. Addendum. Document SCP-019-2-A. Notes as maintained by Dr. Light and Dr. Vaux. That's spelled V-A-U-X. SCP-019-2 specimen was removed from containment chamber and kept in reinforced pen, provided with water and live chickens as food. Specimen made quiet, continuous, garbled vocalizations, determined to be phonetically similar to ancient Hellenic languages. Although the reason for this is unknown, specimens are still thought to be no more intelligent than animals. The specimen lived for less than 48 hours, and a dissection revealed anatomy consistent on a cellular level with normal biology, but with an extremely unstable musculoskeletal structure. Other notable anomalies included an unstable respiratory system, nearly non-existent digestive tract, and virtually no other internal organs. All other captured specimens have followed similar patterns of behavior and demise. Note: it appears that SCP-019-2 specimens were not intended to live for meaningful amounts of time outside of SCP-019. This note was written down by Dr. Vaux. At a later date, Containment Unit was slightly damaged following prolonged exposure to SCP-019-2 specimen, missed by the monitoring team because of partial transparency. This has not been noted in SCP-019-2 before. Monitoring teams will continue to report further anomalies. At another date, monitoring teams report some specimens of SCP-019-2 now appear to be significantly more resistant to incineration than others. It is hypothesized that it is a defense mechanism on the part of SCP-019. At the most recent date, most specimens of SCP-019-2 are now all but entirely resistant to the effects of the incinerator. Replacement of incinerator with an acid bath is being considered. Quote-unquote evolution of SCP-019-2 is being studied and may be evidence of sentience in SCP-019. That is the end of the first article for tonight. Alright. I did not have the other ones already picked out, so we will have to go and look for one. For those previously unaware, the SCP Wiki is a large collaborative creative project of various communities coming together into making this big thing. Let's do 030. Item number SCP-030. Object class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-030 is to be held at Site-17 within a modified humanoid containment cell. Minor adaptations to accommodate its stature, such as an appropriately scaled workspace and chair, are to be included. Lighting within the cell may be altered upon request of the specimen to a maximum of 2,000 lumens via a simple dimmer switch. Should the need to render SCP-030 inert arise, staff may extinguish the lighting from the exterior switch and draw blackout curtains as necessary. Standard night vision equipment is available for observation of the object in its inert state. 030 may request materials for personal research every 90 days. All previously requested materials are to be collected and destroyed prior to delivery of new materials. All materials are to be evaluated and screened by both research and security staff. 030 is to be denied access to any modern scientific journals or texts, and fiction is to be restricted to works produced no later than 1623 Common Era, to preserve the integrity of its innate knowledge. Staff wishing to consult with 030 in writing are to place a formal request, document 030-RS/B, with the supervising researcher on duty. All correspondence is to be retained. Staff wishing to consult with 030 in person are to submit a formal request to site management. Documents 030-RP/A and 17-030/A. At least 30 days prior to their preferred consultation date. All consultations are to be recorded and retained. Senior research staff may request 030 be temporarily removed from its containment for a maximum of 1 hour to provide observational insight into non-restricted materials or events within Site 17. Under no circumstances is 030 to leave the confines of Site 17. Requests must be presented in person to site management and security staff at least 30 days prior to their preferred observational release date. All observational release events are to be recorded and retained. 030 has been equipped with a tracking device, inventory control code 030-17-1, so its location within Site 17 may be determined precisely at any time. O30 appears to be a hairless, genderless, gray-toned human, 71 centimeters, 28 inches, in height and weighing 12.7 kilograms, 2 British stone in antiquated measure. Its solid blue eyes lack discernible irises or pupils and resemble small-cut sapphires. 030 possesses an androgynous voice with a pronounced English accent not currently identifiable as specific to any modern region. It is able to converse, read and write in ancient Greek, Latin, Italian, English, Spanish, and Portuguese, as well as 2 additional languages that have not yet been identified, despite 030's insistence that they should be quote-unquote common knowledge. 030 has also demonstrated knowledge of physics, chemistry, astronomy, mathematics, and horticulture, roughly equivalent to that of a 17th century CE academic. In addition, 030 has demonstrated knowledge on these topics along research lines that do not appear in the historical record. These alternative and entirely unknown approaches to research in the natural sciences are one source of 030's utility in consultation. 030 remains active while a 15 lumen source of light or greater is within 1.5 meters, 5 feet. In the absence of light, 030 becomes inert, apparently losing consciousness and showing no outward signs of life. Within 5 to 10 seconds of being re-exposed to light, 030 becomes active once more, appearing to come out of a light slumber no matter how long the period of inactivity has been. 030 does not appear to require these periods of inactivity as a human would require sleep, and has expressed a desire to remain active as often as possible. Sorry, I was taking a sip. Biopsy analysis of 030 remains inconclusive. While clays native to the English counties of Kent, Surrey, and Greater London make up the majority of its structure, traces of mandrake, Mandragora officinarium, lye, mercury, and human blood have been found in each sample taken. O30 has expressed that a full exploratory surgery to determine its workings would potentially end its existence. Samples removed from O30 do not regenerate, and sampling is currently discontinued to preserve its integrity. Although O30 can be damaged, it does not appear to feel pain and will simply remold any portion of its anatomy that experiences deformation. Notably, O30 cannot be molded directly by human hands, though any number of tools may be used to alter its surface. O30 does not respirate, requires no sustenance, and produces no waste, although it does infrequently request a bath. O30 refers to itself as Ariel, and regularly requests that staff do the same. Questions regarding how Ariel was created and by whom are routinely answered with a seemingly rote statement. I have been asked to forget that information. Terribly sorry. Ariel delivers this response in the same tone and cadence each time any question regarding its origins or creator are presented. Given its composition and location of origin, a link to the alchemists of Alagada is suspected. Looks like we have the next article presented on a silver platter. Ariel was discovered on June 12th of a year which has been blacked out during a mandatory archaeological survey within London's Mortlake district pending construction of a car park. It was buried approximately 2.7 meters 9 feet below street level, contained in a small stone sarcophagus. The sarcophagus bore no markings and was assumed to be that of a deceased infant, as additional graves were discovered in the survey area. The sarcophagus lid was shattered during the excavation, exposing Ariel to daylight. Upon being struck by the sun's rays, Ariel roused from its inert state to one of mild activity within a few seconds, stating, "Good afternoon," to the assembled construction team. A member of the Foundation's Greater London Recon Force was summoned within hours and took the specimen into custody without resistance. The limited number of witnesses were given amnestics and released. Oh, I knocked over a little thing that was on my desk. I'll get that out of the way so it can't distract further. There we go. Addendum 1. Document 030-C Security Logs for Ariel. January, February, March, and April, June, July, August, September, October. October 14th. Tracking system installed for Ariel. December 21st. Ariel reports malfunction of its own tracking system. Repairs completed within 6 hours. Ariel offers to assist, but is refused for security purposes. March 13th. Ariel completes 18-week seminar on unknown language alpha called Zephyr in this document. 5 staff researchers considered fluent. Lexicography transmitted to O5. January, February, March, and April, May, June, July, August 12th. Ariel requests a supply of magnesium and indicates it intends to ignite samples to study the light produced. Request denied by researchers. November 14th. Incident 030-1. Using only what appears to be standard potting soil, Zingiber officinal, a 72-gram sample of rutilated quartz, and a 23-centimeter length of coiled copper wire. Ariel produces an object/device capable of emitting notable levels of directed ultraviolet light through unknown means. The device is confiscated. Effects not currently replicable without direct intervention from Ariel. Researchers currently in consultation to determine if this line of Ariel's research will be permitted to continue. It is speculated that Ariel may be working towards an alternative and possibly anomalous manifestation of the photoelectric effect after receiving only minimal information regarding its existence. All research by Ariel suspended and materials removed pending review. That was the homunculus. Next up, linked from our previous article. This is our third one. SCP-2264. Object class, safe. Special containment procedures. Due to the unavoidably public nature of the building housing 2264-A, security measures are to focus on preventing civilian access to the anomaly's entrance. The Foundation is to cooperate with the government of the United Kingdom in concealing the existence of 224-A. A hidden passage to 2264-A has been constructed and remains its only means of access. The original entrance to the room where 2264-A is located has been walled over, ensuring that only authorized personnel have access to 2264-A. Operatives are to be reassigned and replaced monthly due to the threat of psychological addiction to 2264-B. Object description. 2264-A is a door composed of iron, located within a hidden chamber beneath Martin Tower, a part of the Tower of London. The gateway cannot be unlocked through traditional means, requiring a highly ritualized process. Attached to 2264-A is a complex apparatus composed of alchemical tools such as alembics, retorts, and a crucible. Based on journals found within the hidden chamber, 2264-A is presumably the creation of Henry Percy, 26th of April, 1564, to 5th November, 1632, 9th Earl of Northumberland, an English aristocrat, alchemist, and a long-term prisoner within the Tower of London. Despite his incarcerated status, the Earl maintained a degree of influence, said to enjoy a comfortable lifestyle, and allowed access to books and research material. He was known as the Wizard Earl due to his extensive library and interest in the scientific and occult. It is considered possible that others within Percy's circle of associates were involved in the creation of 2264-A, including John Dee, famed alchemist and court astrologer of Queen Elizabeth. The School of Night, of which Henry Percy was supposedly a member to, may have also had involvement. My throat's starting to hurt. I might actually cut it off after this one. Come back to it later. Rename the VOD afterward. Don't worry about it. You know, I'm feeling a little better. Let's get a big old smile going. Hell yeah. Journal of Henry Percy, the Wizard Earl. Negredo. We will confront the dark night of the soul. The pineal gland will be finely extracted. Fire evokes the shadow within. Albedo. Wash aroint the impurities. Rain cleanses all sin and prepares the soul for Elysium. Divide. Not as dictated by the rigors of harmony, but rather by two opposing forces. But rather into two opposing principles, to be later coagulated to form a unity of opposites. Citrinitas. Victory coincides with the yellowing of the lunar consciousness. The white surrenders to dawn. The traveling lamp slays the moon. Rubedo. Red alludes, instead, surrender upon the apparatus, a sanguine sacrifice. A Foundation alchemist was consulted. The instructions are roughly comparable to the magnum opus, a 4-part process employed in the creation of the mythical philosopher's stone. Replication of this procedure requires through still undetermined means, A mechanism within SCP-2264-A responds to the completed solution, causing it to unlock and open, allowing access to 2264-B. Those who enter 2264-B report having all personal belongings removed and their clothes replaced. Manifested outfits are said to resemble those worn at masquerade balls, most especially those associated with the Carnival of Venice, and will dematerialize upon exit of 2264-B. Masks cannot be removed while inside 2264-B, but the rest of the attire can be discarded if one chooses to do so. The majority of 2264-B inhabitants are dressed and adorned in a similar fashion. Agents have reported a somewhat organic quality to their costumes, frequently describing them as chitinous. The most common inhabitants of 2264-B are roughly humanoid and have since been classified as 2264-1. The sky has been described as yellow and containing an indeterminate number of black stars, corresponding to no known or even hypothesized constellations. Buildings are shaped in such a way to suggest them as being carved from a single seamless material. Black, white, yellow, and red are the only colors to reportedly occur within SCP-2264-B. Architecture is non-Euclidean, and the normal laws of gravity do not apply. Thus, inhabitants can be observed as climbing a stairway upside down, but based on their own gravity source, they are climbing normally. The city has been described as having the odor of dried flowers with a hint of mold, or a scent not unlike that of old books. The actual size of the city has been difficult to measure, but it appears to be located on an island, surrounded by a black ocean. The composition of the liquid is unknown, but described as appearing more viscous than water. Operatives have reported a hypnagogic malaise while exploring 2264-B, with difficulty estimating time and space. Although 2264-B is a tangible location and not considered to be an actual dream, those who had a history of lucid dreaming have shown far greater self-control and attention to detail than those who did not. Operatives are to be reassigned and replaced monthly due to a threat of psychological addiction to the city. Initial efforts at exploration resulted in 8 absent without leave operatives, with those that returned having difficulty describing what they had observed in a coherent and or detailed manner. Exploration report. Dr. CHEETO Narvaez. First deployment. Access granted. The almost hypnagogic nature of the city has led many to observe it as a dream or hallucination, failing to fully recognize its inherent verisimilitude. A lucid dreamer and an experienced user of hallucinogenics, I, Dr. CHEETO Narvaez, was well chosen for this mission. My comrades quickly surrendered to the anomaly, engaging in the decadent pleasures of the city, most especially within the palace. Tempting as it was, I did not join the others in their rapturous orgy. I would suggest interviewing those that previously entered the city again. It is unlikely they've gone into all the details. When allowed a chance to directly control a dream, so many claim that they would fly or visit the stars. Those people are liars. Most choose to surrender to the ecstatic delirium of sexual pleasure. Again, this is not a dream, but I'm able to understand why most are unable to perceive the difference. I'm reminded of the legend of the Assassins, how their leader supposedly drugged and led his recruits into his castle. Within was a pleasure garden that rivaled any imagined paradise. The individuals truly believed they were offered a taste of the divine. The city works in a somewhat similar way, but I do not believe that is the reason for its splendor. I doubt it is intended to be a trap. It is simply a city, although certainly a majestic city, unlike anything I had ever before encountered, but one that happens to exist outside a baseline reality and does not entirely conform to the physical rules we are used to. I've made significant discoveries while exploring the city. 1. The universal translation of language. While most of the agents perceived the inhabitants as speaking English, I heard them in my native tongue of Spanish. Even those of my team, while communicating with me directly, appeared to have been speaking Spanish while within the anomaly. I've discovered that this also applies to written language, but not quite as accurately. Written words initially appear as alien shapes, most of the symbols having a somewhat spiral-like pattern. If one continues to directly observe the symbols, they will begin to blur and alter until some level of translation is manifested. However, there do appear to be limitations, and it seems that some words native to the city have no equivalent in any human language. The words appear to move on paper, and prolonged exposure can easily result in nausea and headache. Hang on. Open the chat. I recognize that name. There you go. Alright, back into it. Two, the true name of the city is Alagada, a city-state said to border the Neverment. I was able to gather much of this information from the wandsman of Kulmanas, a scholar and foreigner like myself. They wore a beaked mask and exquisite robes cloaked their hunchbacked form. Their hands were scaly, more avian than reptilian, with black talons. They unfurled a scroll before me, said it was a map of the multiverse, layer after layer of endless spirals. I sense an oncoming migraine just thinking about it now. Regardless, I was pleased to meet a fellow intellectual within. I asked them about the nature of their research. "What is the nature of all that is?" they asked. I assumed rhetorically. "Just for a start," they noted. Three, there is a specific power structure within Alagada, involving entities that, based on description, could easily be considered some of the more dangerous reality benders known to the Foundation. The Wandsman of Kulmanas warned of individuals that should not even be approached, lest we draw undesirable attention to our reality. There are or were 4 masked lords who directly oversee Alagada. the Black Lord, wearer of the Anguished mask, the White Lord, wearer of the Diligent mask, the Yellow Lord, wearer of the Odious mask, and the Red Lord, wearer of the Mirthful mask. They are said to be the chief advisors to the King of Alagada. They continue to warn that I not be fooled by their names, each just as terrible as the other. I have seen the masked lords, always at a distance, all except the wearer of the Anguished mask. I was informed that the Black Lord was the victim of a political struggle some time ago. The reason was never known, if reason existed at all, and was cast into some dreadful dimensional backwater. It would only be a matter of time before they returned. The insidious glamour of the city-state disguised a dreadful truth, one the wandsman had difficulty expressing in words. They stated that most outsiders came to this place to seek a boon from the king. They refused to speak any more of this entity, and suggested I avoid the ambassador of Alagada as well, before politely taking their leave of me. I decided it time to report back, gathered the others, pulling a few from the writhing mound of masked transdimensional entities. The first door we entered was the one to return us to baseline reality. I suspected that Alagada is a dimensional nexus connected to countless worlds across the multiverse. Every door used within Alagada is connected directly to 2264-A. There are other gateways like 2264-A. I suspect them to be currently sealed. CHEETO Narvaez was commended for his initiative. A psychological evaluation has determined it safe for him to re-enter in the near future, although it has been requested that he use a more professional tone with regards to his reports. Future operatives will be screened for higher than normal levels of activity in the parietal lobes, while in the state of altered consciousness, sleep or otherwise. The Wandsman of Kul Manas has since been classified as 2264-2 and is considered an invaluable source of information. The masked lords of Alagada have been classified as 2264-3. Exploration report number 2 from CHEETO Narvaez. This is the second deployment. I believe Alagada is the only entity. I believe the Wandsman of Kul Manas is the only entity we might truly trust in Alagada, and sought them immediately. The city contains thousands, if not millions, but the Wandsman stands out and appears to have a strictly scholarly interest in Alagada, most especially the Palace Library. The collection was impressive and could have been infinite in size for all I knew. There was no visible end to the room, the corridor stretching long into the horizon. I wandered the seemingly endless hall, Agent Cromwell and Dr. Yu at my side, in search of the Wandsman. I scanned through a few grimoires and scrolls, the alien symbols failing to translate, leading me to suspect that no earthly translation was possible. In time, we found the Wandsman, affable as before and expressing concern about our well-being. I asked that they elaborated. I write their response as best as my memory allows. The ambassador of Alagata will soon return from Adatum, and only the mad shall remain. I suggest you leave post haste, for I intend the same. Oh. Hello, Weird Dog. Buy followers, primes, and viewers on this scam website. Weird Dog, do me a favor and kill yourself. /ban Weird Dog. I'll open Twitch mod view so I can report that individual. Oh, what a beautiful time. How to access Twitch mod view. Yeah, moderate my own channel. Yeah, minimize to dock. All right, here we go. Report. What is the problem? Chat messages. They are attempting to scam me. They entered my chat and told me to buy viewers / followers on an off-site scam web page. Submit report. Perfect. Block them. All right. There we go. Now let's close that. All right, let's close that and let's get back to the article. We were at... Yeah, there we go. I thanked them for their warning and declared that we should not linger for long. I asked them about Adatum. They replied, a terrible city filled with equally terrible people. It is said that the grand Karcist of Adatum serves the designs of an elder being, a horror thought to rival even the hanged king of Alagata. Graw! The wandsman made a sound not unlike a crow. I should not speak of them, not here. I asked who they were, the wandsman, wanting to know more about them. They replied, I am the wandsman of Kulmanas, a scholar, as you undoubtedly know. I am a walker of the astral plane, a sailor of the celestial sea, and a spelunker of the planar deep. The wandsman noted something about our aura, declaring it rare across the multiverse, but admitted to having encountered similar during previous visits to Alagata. They said something along the lines of, "The deathless merchant of London, driven by greed and black ambition. There was another, a stranger in a strange land. It appeared as though they did not know where they were, smelling of fear. I cannot imagine how one might accidentally stumble upon Alagata. I did not believe such a thing was possible. They vanished soon after, yet I never witnessed them leave, simply gone in a blink. They would continue to reference carcists and clavigers of Adatum, stating that they reeked of decay and embryonic fluid. That was the extent of people encountered with similar aura to their own. I suspect the wandsman is able to sense a person's quote-unquote dimensional neighborhood. The wandsman turned their head completely around, somewhat like an owl, and cawed, declaring, I sense the ambassador of Alagata has returned. I take my leave of this place, and I suggest you do the same. Flee. Do not delay. Perhaps I will pay your realm a visit in the future. The wandsman exited the nearest door. The door refused to budge, but I suspect it connected the wandsman to their native dimension. We exited the library, walking quickly, not wishing to bring too much attention upon ourselves by running. We found an unlocked door and returned home. We never saw the ambassador or their king, but I feel at best we do not seek them out. Although not directly encountered, the ambassador of Alagata and the king of Alagata have been respectively classified as 4 and 5. We have some classified information on our hands here. Let's see. Throat's getting dry, sorry. The O5 Council voted 10-3 in support of sending Mobile Task Force Psi-9, the Abyss Gazers, into Alagata. The goal of the operation was to locate the ambassador and the king and calculate the level of threat they represented to humanity, Earth, and local dimensional space. 12 agents trained in hand-to-hand combat and counter-occult stratagems, COS, entered the door on at 0800. One agent returned alive. The rest are presumed dead or otherwise irretrievable. Interviewed Agent Alexander Papadopoulos. Interviewer Dr. Lakshmi Narang. Forward. Agent Papadopoulos was found to be in critical condition upon their exit of 2264, losing consciousness soon after. A physical examination revealed fractured bones throughout the entirety of their body and extensive internal bleeding. After 3 weeks of hospitalization, Papadopoulos was deemed healthy enough for an interview. Begin log. I know it might be difficult, but please tell me everything you remember. The city was remarkable. Command prepped us for it as best they could, but words failed to do it justice. We all had the appearance of harlequins or something. out of an old-time masquerade. Wasn't exactly the same, but close enough. Couldn't take the masks off, hard as we tried. We had a mission to complete, but the details are quite vague. Vague? Find 2264-4 and -5. Get an estimate on their threat level. We knew they were important to 2264, but we had no idea what they looked like or how to locate them. Go on. Alright, well, we found the palace. Don't know how long it took. Time is no meaning in a place like that. The city was full of people, especially that palace, but I didn't feel like being in a busy city or in our world. There was nothing different about it. I don't know how else to describe it. Layered? No, still not right. Not important, I guess. Things blurred a lot. Everything seemed to follow sort of dream logic. Dream logic? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a dream, but certain of that. And the scars prove it. But, it was all real. But, have you ever noticed how dreams rush through the details? You end up one place, but don't really recall how. It was like that. I remember the masquerade, the music, the dancing, and the fucking. All with their masks on, of course. Seeing some of them nude was a shock, but they aren't like us. Let's just say that. Not everything is part of the elaborate costume. Their skin was like porcelain. I think those were the natives, 2264-1. But the more you stared, the less human everyone seemed. Some had too many limbs, some had too few. They were like the monsters from an old fantasy comic I read as a kid. Crazy as this place was, I don't think we were ever seeing the whole truth. It was like a filter. The people looked humanoid because we're human. Some from another world would see us more like them, but some, especially the natives, got a feeling that behind those masks, behind their illusions, there's something inconceivable. Sorry, rambling. Head hurts trying to remember. I can't move my arms or legs. What's wrong with them? The numbness is just a side effect of your medication. Please focus on my questions. Okay, if you say so. I remember having to pull Agent Mayer away from some woman. I think it was a woman. Wasn't attacking him or anything. Quite the opposite, actually. Gonna blame him. She had curves in all the right places. Made it easy to ignore the tentacles. So 12 of us stick together. Hard not to look at like you're out for trouble with that many. Anyway, we wander around the palace and it was like a labyrinth. I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if we stumbled into a minotaur or something. Spent most of the time descending the stairs, I think. I remember feeling like we were traveling deeper and deeper. And then somehow, when we thought we had reached the bottom, we're back outside. It looked like we were exactly in the same spot as when we first entered the city. Hell, all we could see we could all see the palace in the distance. But something was different. Everything was dark, drained of color, like we could see, and all of it was a hazy gray twilight. The streets were empty and the buildings looked ruined. Yeah, it was like the whole city was abandoned long ago. Desolate and silent. Not a sound but your own footsteps. We eventually entered this iteration of the palace. Everything was identical, at least the architecture. So we heard the whispers. Spoke a language I never heard before. I feel it slithering in my ear, eating its way into my brain. We Please continue. We destroyed ourselves. What? We had no choice. The ambassador had found us. It didn't have a face, no mouth, nose, or eyes. I thought it was wearing a skin-tight outfit and high heels. That is what it looked like at first, but no, that was its body. Its flesh was black. It stood tall, lithe, and androgynous, and so... Please, this information is important. Pace yourself. We can stop if it stood so damn proud, just radiating arrogance. I couldn't understand a word it said, and yet every syllable dripped with narcissistic venom. It brought a hand to where its mouth would have been, and it laughed and laughed, and then we destroyed ourselves for its amusement. Our bones were shattered, our flesh torn open, and our organs ruptured. We ruined ourselves in body and mind, all for that thing's amusement. The whole time I tried to scream, I tried to beg, and couldn't make a sound. I'm so sorry, I tried to say. I'm so sorry, my team, my friends. I remember how their eyes pleaded for mercy and asked for forgiveness. You don't forget eyes like that. In the end, I was the only one left alive, surrounded by the mutilated corpses that were once my team, and I understand now the ambassador needed a witness. Its message. I wanted to deliver its message. I'm telling you, is this end. Please continue. I watched the ceiling move as it dragged my broken body from room to room. Eventually we stopped and it lifted me up, held me before the throne. There I saw the king, and it was anchored in place. Its hand and throat shackled tied like a corpse in bondage. Its face was in beneath a black veil. Or maybe it was a hood. I don't remember. But I remember the horrid imps. They were caressing the king's twitching body as if trying to comfort it. The others pulled the tethers even tighter. The king trembled and quivered, and I saw pale tendrils slither in and out its tattered robes. I looked on as the imps lifted the king's veil. There was a change in tone, suggesting lucidity. Oh yeah. Oh, that was not what he was saying. That was not something he was saying. That was just a little indicator of what was happening. I'm not that smart. I might be stupid. I want to die. I can't live with what I've done. Please kill me. End this. I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my arms. Not like this. Not like this, please. I'm begging you. You know I can't do that. Please tell me what you saw. A God-shaped hole. The barren desolation of a fallen and failed creation. See the light of long dead stars. Your existence is nothing but an echo of the dying God's screams. The unseen converges, surrounds you, and tightens like a noose. End of log. Operations involving 2264 are suspended until further notice. The agent's request for termination has been denied. Due to the considerable damage suffered, amputation of both arms and legs was deemed necessary. The subject is no longer able to perform most biological functions without the aid of life support systems. He is to be restrained for his own protection, despite his loss of limbs. Suicide attempts have been made and thoroughly interrogated for all possible information related to 2264. Due to the contact with 2264-4 and -5, he is to be quarantined and carefully observed for signs of anomaly. Agent Papadopoulos has refused food and water, requiring the use of a feeding tube. Addendum: 2264 was discovered accidentally during the refurbishment of Martin Tower in... The Foundation has contacted any representatives of the Crown due to the suspicion of a potentially anomalous artifact based on the writings found within. Since attributed to Henry Percy, 9th Earl of Northumberland, discovered among his notes was an unsent letter intended to be received by Christopher Marlowe, famed poet and playwright. The letter is dated the 30th of May, 1593, the day of Marlowe's unsolved murder. Document 2264-037. To my singular good friend, may this missive reach the ear, 'tis too late. 'Twas thou who urged against my building of the Janus Gate. My insult was cruel, having deemed thee foolish and ignorant of the sciences. I prithee, forgive mine arrogance. 'Twas thou who suffered the evil to which I was blind. I showed thee the other ordinary, allowed the secret darkness to coil around the cinder of thy beautiful heart. I was blind, but now I see. I beseech thee to burn that accursed play and return it to ash. Thy patron seeks to corrupt and defile. Whence he cometh, there are things that simply should not be. The ambassador shall exploit thee, as they did us. I have sealed the Janus Gate, so that only the enlightened may enter. May they have the wisdom to see what I could not, and the power to slay the wretched king within. Damn that metropolis of blood, the terrible realm, and its ancient and countless crimes. Consign thy play to the fire. Deny thy vile patron, and anoint thee from this madness. We would fain to become three back into the night. Oh yeah. Welcome thee back into the night, I mean. Where is footnote number 6? I don't remember. Well, that's about it for tonight. I know I promised 10, but I'm rather tired and my throat hurts, so I'm going to be logging off for now. Have a good night. Sleep well. And if you still need a little help, beat your dick like it does you money. See you tomorrow afternoon.